Welcome everyone. We're here today talking to Jennifer Poland and Darryl Gurney. This couple has had an incredibly unique story, and I really wanted to help them share it. Both Jennifer and Darryl are skilled energy and metaphysical therapists and teachers. They came together in relationship 4 years ago and were called by the divine to combine their healing practices for something much bigger than even they understood. So why don't you start, Darryl, by telling us about yourself and your skills and how they work with Jennifer's.
Absolutely. This has been a long journey for me. I've been at this for about 30 years, and both in a healing, with my healing hat on, energetic healing, metaphysical healing, and also as a teacher, taught a few different programs. And Jen works slightly different than me. Jen is clairvoyant, very clairvoyant, and she had her own practice, but also taught and had online programs and so on. So we kind of came together about 4 years ago. It was kind of divinely guided. It was beautiful. We had, I guess, a purpose to discover and explore. So it was very interesting. After in 2021, Spirit had us combine our practices. So we started working two of us with one client, and with her clairvoyant skills and my skills of discovery, we were able to reach very deep into a person's psyche and their subconscious and find out many things a lot deeper than either one of us were able to find individually. We discovered karmic patterns, ancestral patterns. We discovered epigenetic or gene patterns that we could influence. We discovered many things about things that cause us to have physical symptoms, emotional issues, relationship patterns, all kinds of things. And we were able to offer a lot of help because we were able to discover things together that were kind of groundbreaking. You couldn't read in a book. And so it was very interesting journey, and we're wonderful to be able to share that. We want to teach some of these programs and things that we've learned in programs. And so, that's a little bit about what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Jennifer, how did you discover you could speak to the divine?
Well, when I was young, it was something that I think came very easily. It wasn't something that I kind of understood very much. But as I got older, I was even actually visited by Mother Mary. I had, experiences like that. I knew I would write a book someday. So it was something that, was very much alive in me. But as I became a teenager, I pushed those things away. I didn't have the skills to really understand my gifts. And so I was very sensitive and very emotional. And so, but around age 28, I needed help, and I reached out I was going through a very difficult time, and I called upon the divine, and they answered very loudly. And so they came through a very strong voice, and they said, love is all that you need, and love is the answer. And so it really changed my life, because it didn't change my life in that moment, but I stepped back on the path, and I started really spending and devoting every day to listening and learning. And it was something that I would write. And I think what I like to use the word channel, but in order to give people an understanding of what channeling means, actually the divine told me today to use this example. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Think of a musician who, or a poet who's inspired with words, and they write down their song or their piece of poetry, and it just comes through them. Well, that's what channeling is for me. So when I write, it's as though they're just speaking to me like a friend. And so sometimes I'm working with the divine, the divine mother, father side of the greater cosmic creator. And sometimes it's like Jesus or a luminary or an angel, but each one of these celestial beings has something unique to offer. And so I'm their scribe. So that's how I've lent my purpose for people so I can give them the messages that will most support their lives.
How has being a mother influenced your practice?
I would say that I took the path that I stepped onto was not traditional, in that I was at home with 2 little children. I wasn't able to, go to the Himalayas or take a course. My spiritual practice was primarily through motherhood. And I think listening and learning to the divine and seeing the mirrors in my children, understanding myself and my impact on them and how they reacted to me. And so I learned so much, everything actually, from being a mother. And I think the simplicity of that path is really important for people to understand that your spiritual practice is something that is about your life. It's not complicated. It doesn't need to have a certain bracelet or a certain song or a mantra. It's really about your interaction in relationship with your family and your loved ones and yourself.
Darryl, why is the experience of working with you and Jennifer unique?
I would say it's unique because we essentially work with what we call energetic dynamics. We look at everything in terms of energetic dynamics, and when things come into our lives and they show up, it's not random or happenstance, it's because we've drawn it into us. It's kind of like the universe is all about resonant patterns, and it's like we're like a magnet. And if we have a certain resonance going on, we will actually draw an experience to us that mirrors or reflects the energy. Like if you feel you're a bad person and deserve to suffer, then you will draw in suffering to your life because it's a vibrational match. This is kind of how we create our reality. And so Jennifer and I work very much on looking at the person's magnets and looking at how they've attracted these distortions into their life that aren't serving them and they want to change. So we want to be able to figure out what is going on at that level, and then we apply energetic shifts to actually change the energy so that we attract into our life a different expression, something more harmonious and useful and pleasant. It's really interesting. That may sound abstract, but it's very practical. Like we work with people. We worked with a lady who had sleep disorders, and she was on several medications for many, many years. And we did one of these treatments, changed the energetic dynamics, and she didn't need the medication anymore, and she had much more energy, and she felt a lot better. And that was just in one session, because when you deal with problems at the level of cause, then it's reasonable to think that you can get resolution. And the cause are these deeply held patterns that we haven't been able to access. And so that's essentially what we do. It's very interesting. The other thing that happens with energetic dynamics is what we call interference patterns. So Robin, if you're a rock thrown in water and your ripples are coming out towards me, and I'm a rock thrown in water and my ripples come out, there's a place where our ripples are going to meet, and you're going to get an interference pattern. It's going to be a brand new thing. And that interference pattern can be constructive, where it's harmonious, it's like, I get great vibes from you, or it can be destructive, and it's a chaos pattern, and it causes an issue, right? And it's a whole third party. So we want to be able to look at that and be able to discern, oh, wow, this is why the whole issue is at odds. And somebody wants, I want to change my partner, da, 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 da. But interestingly enough, when they change themselves, they change the energetic interference pattern, and the whole thing tends to change, the whole expression, both people. And so, I mean, we worked with a mother, and we worked with her energetic dynamics, and her baby started to feel a lot better and stop wrestling with the problems that the baby was dealing with. So it's a very interesting way of looking at life from that. These energetic dynamics are literally mathematical, and when you change the math, you change the pattern.
Jennifer, you mentioned you are also learning from the divine, which you refer to as the Great Spirit. How has that impacted your personal life?
I think what I would like our clients and viewers to understand is Darryl and I also have to live the life that we're promoting and advocating that people embrace. So we too have gone through our own personal challenges, and what happens is Spirit asks us to step into these places in ourselves, and when we do that, we learn and we grow, but we also become truth tellers instead of false prophets. And in particular, what the divine has asked me to share about is an event in my own life that actually began 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, when Darryl mentioned that we came together as a couple, I actually had a vision that I was going to have cancer and he was going to be nursing me. And we were just starting out as a young couple, and I thought, oh gosh, I certainly didn't tell him. And over the years, I thought I had sidestepped that timeline, but I hadn't. And so in January of 2024, in December rather of 2023, I sought out my doctor, and for some, a checkup, and I knew that there was a possibility of it coming back. And so the night before my results, I had a dream that I had cancer. And so I went to the appointment, he confirmed it, and we moved forward, and I had a full hysterectomy. And so during that time, it was important to us because, we look at the mind and the body and the soul and the lessons that I worked through, all of the lessons that cancer was here to teach me. And I worked away and asked for each layer to be revealed. And we can only really embrace the layer what's in front of us, right? We can't chew off the whole experience. So I did have another vision that if I didn't embrace all of my lessons, it would come back in 4 months. And so the night before, again, my 6-month checkup, I had a dream that cancer was returning. And when we went, I told Darryl, and when we went for the appointment, the doctor, he actually found a lump in my lymph node right beside the spot that I had originally been there. And so he sent me for an emergency CT scan. And we went home and we did the exact same thing. We said, okay, what can we do to really embrace this situation? And so it was going to, anyway, it was funny. The paperwork got lost, and we bought ourselves a few more days. And each day we embraced what came through from the divine. I surrendered to the unlearned lessons. Some of it was about asking for support and whatever was coming up for me. And the night before my CT scan, it was a Sunday night, the divine came through and said, "You have learned all of your lessons. We are going to remove the cancer by the grace of healing." And I was like, I accepted, of course, and but nonetheless went through the proper steps of validating the healing. And I went to the appointment, and when I went for the follow-up, the doctor said, "There's no cancer." And so we were really excited, and anyway, went on with our life. And a week later, he actually called on a Saturday and said, "I just can't be with those results. Would you mind just making me feel better going for another test?" Because he had called other doctors and they had suggested more testing because of what he had found. We did, and of course it came back negative, so I was free of the cancer. So I think it's really important. What the divine has asked me to share is, we're real people going through real experiences and facing like lessons. And so as we face our lessons and we receive the intuition and the guidance, and particularly some of the healing processes that we've been given to pass along, that we are living examples. And that's really important to us.
Jennifer, tell us about the book you just released.
The book. Okay. So the book is called The Way to Peace, and how it came to be, as I mentioned, when I was a child, I always knew I was going to write a book. And when I was pre-Darryl, our relationship, I was attempting to write, the path of enlightenment through motherhood, and I was trying it this way and trying it that way, but it never quite came together. And so when we came together as a couple, I knew that it was going to unfold now. It was time for that. And so the divine instructed us to move to a remote location, which we did, and I was going to be bringing through a book on ascension. And so I would wake up every morning at like 5 a.m, and I would get through maybe a page and a half. It was very slow and sacred and important. So each word was really coming through and scripted. And so we took it very, very slow. And I actually wrote many more pages that haven't been released, but I think they'll be down the road. They'll be part of the workshop. Anyhow, so we didn't know how the book would be applied, but the divine asked us to set it aside, which was hard because I'd put my heart into it, and with no known date to put it out, and we trusted it, and we spent the next 3 years working, as Darryl mentioned, with clients and learning, and actually, and as I said, going through it ourselves. So we had to understand what the missing keys were from, the philosophy of it, but we also had to learn to apply it. And so Jesus comes through. He is the voice of the channeled material. And it talks to us about the path to our light body, which is awakening the light in all of our cells, like really awakening our full potential. And the missing keys, I think, in the work that, and I shouldn't say all work, but I think the majority of the work that's out there is the connection to the body, our instinctual nature, and our divine feminine gifts. And that's a lot of people are talking about the divine feminine gifts. It is that time for reclaiming them. But I think the missing part is our instinctual nature and the emotional connection to our bodies. The soul keys into our body and is expressing itself through our physical nature and our emotions. And we're living primarily up in our heads and our minds, so we're not able to really hear what the soul is trying to communicate. So in order to really access the truth, we have to go in and embrace those parts of ourselves. And through, being civilized out of our bodies, having shamed, feeling the shame of, say, sexuality or the body or whatever, our primal desires, it has forced us up into our minds, disconnecting us from that. And the byproduct of that is a disconnection from the earth. And so while all of those things are important, it is actually even of greater importance that we reconnect to the earth, because that is the sacred garden that we've been gifted to as humans. And I think a lot of us think that we're going somewhere else, or that there's this alternate reality that is somewhere better than what we've been given. But we have been given the sacred garden. And so we are here to actually go deeper into that experience and really understand the mystery of the divine through our connection to the earth.
Darryl, how does this book connect with the workshop?
Yeah, very interesting. We actually had to take a lot of what is in the book essentially and apply it to ourselves, as Jen suggested. We had to really, really prepare ourselves to be able to bring down this, what we call the process. And it was a tremendous amount of work actually, but then we were gifted this that we're now teaching in the workshops that we're offering, and we're very excited. We've offered it a couple times now, and people are getting very profound shifts. It's basically a chakra-based, deep, intensive healing. So they come to the workshop, and then we are going to go into the chakras. We have an access to get into these energy centers in the body, and they contain these unresolved karmic patterns, these shadows, these deeply held beliefs, these things that need to be brought into the surface of awareness where they can be dealt with and healed. So we all have these, and so we're able to do that in this, and then this process is not just one and done at the workshop. They then take this process home and work on by themselves, and they can go deeper and deeper and deeper and access more and more healing. It's this healing that we need to access to be able to reveal and liberate the light body, the energy to rise up and around us. And so we're really thrilled to be able to offer this. And that's a little bit about the workshop. The other thing is we also wanted to be able to empower people to be able to access their own intuitive guidance and emotions, and that is also something that you start to exercise those muscles. Jennifer is quite expert at it, but we all have this potential, and the more we exercise these muscles, the stronger our intuitive guidance comes. And when we have that, it's like we have a compass on our own personal journey, and that is very useful instead of kind of wandering around blind. And it reveals to us our purpose, why we're here, what we're to understand, and which is much more deeply fulfilling and rewarding than maybe we imagine with our minds. So that's a lot of basically what I would want to share about the workshop. Do you have anything to add about that?
I think just to build on what Darryl was focusing on, the divine, actually they were saying this the other day, it's really important that they don't look to us for their messages, they look to themselves. And so we are helping them hear those messages, and by clearing out the debris or the distraction, because people are so in their minds, they're looking outside of themselves, they're looking to this person or this event or whatever to be defined by something, but the answers are within, and we just need to know how to ask them, and then maybe what's in the way preventing them from hearing them. So it's really important that people understand that this is about them and how we can help them reach that part of themselves.
Darryl, how would a person reach you for any of your offerings?
Very simply, they can go and visit us at thenatureofus.ca. And it's a kind of an extensive website. It has our, there's a link to get the way to peace, the book. Our upcoming workshops are listed there. Our one-on-one sessions, if you want to book a one-on-one session, then how to contact us for something like that, you can do. Those are deep sessions, by the way, 2 to 3 hours, but it's very eye-opening, I guess. And there's also video clips and teachings that Jen has channeled. They're like little wise, offerings from the luminaries on various topics and prophetic visions as well. So you may want to visit some of those. They're very, eye-opening, I guess, and revealing, because it's at this time, I think, that we really need to be on our spiritual journey and connect to the earth. And as the world out there is really a reflection of the world in here. And as we start to heal it here, it starts to change automatically out there with all those ripples that we're all putting out. So we hope that people will join us and travel with us and learn more about their soul and why they're here.
Thank you everyone for joining us. And again, if you want to learn more about Jennifer and Darryl's work and offerings, please visit their website at thenatureofus.ca.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Robin.